myself, and she taught me some strategies that I used when I had the burglary to assist me deal with that and shift and make it into something that's a whole lot better than just a burglary. So that's the soulful part of the complete business person. So now we're moving on to mindset. And it's a delight that I'm able to have Sue Feb in the room. She has a very, very heavy travel schedule, so we're very blessed. Perth is a hometown. Just for those of you who don't know her, as a journalist by trade with a 22-year career in the media, Sue understands the media industry inside and out. She's worked as a news editor in charge of busy newsrooms in Australia and the UK, a public relations executive for government and private companies, a PR consultant with her own PR business representing a wide range of clients, and she has used the media to grow her own businesses, appearing on The Current Affair and many radio stations and newspapers and magazines.
That's me.
Is it on? Okay, we'll deal with that in a second. Sue empowers entrepreneurs with all the skills necessary to get their own free publicity in the media in just an hour or two per month. The students have appeared on just about every major TV program in Australia, each of the major networking and evening news bulletins, leading Australian magazines, newspapers and radio programs. It does work what she teaches. I'm a graduate of her courses and I've been in discussion with BRW magazine this week and also Sky Business News. And a local journalist is talking to me this week as well. So this stuff does work, and if it's going to keep doing that, we might turn it off until we can fix it. And Sue's $100.
Thank you. So I'm wearing a big bulbous pack now, and for no reason whatsoever, because we've turned it off. Okay, everyone, I want you to first of all stand up. Yay! And I want you to find someone next to you, and I want you to tell them one thing you learned from Tamika's session. Just one thing in 15 seconds. Go. Okay, everybody, take your seats. Take your seats. Sit down. Sit down. I was just getting the vibe that everyone wanted to stand up. Is everyone feeling better now? Now everyone's not going to shut up. Okay. Quietly now. Okay, delighted to be here and very excited to be here. Thank you, Fleur, for inviting me, because I normally talk about publicity. I talk about publicity and how to get your business into the media. So it's a real thrill for Fleur to have invited me to come and talk about something else for a change. So I'm very excited to be here talking about mindset. And it's something that I do talk about quite a bit in context of publicity, but I've never done a whole presentation about mindset before. So hang on, because who knows what's going to happen. I've never done this before. All right, has anyone ever had this happen to you, where you're about to step up and do something new in your life, step up for a new challenge, and then suddenly all hell breaks loose in your life? Who's had that? Yep, and what kind of things have happened? Deaths. Good Lord, okay. I was thinking, I didn't mean to get, I told you anything could happen. I was thinking more computer crashing. Yeah, computer crashes, kids get sick, deaths, yep, whatever that, yeah, awful. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's fine. But I just, obviously not. I just want you to know that is actually what happens in life. And I don't know if you've noticed that, but I've noticed that certainly in the last couple of years, certainly with starting to run a business, moving out of the corporate world, doing my own thing, that every time I'm about to reach a new level of myself, the shit hits the fan. And there's something that makes you think maybe I shouldn't do this after all. Maybe I should step back from this because maybe this is not meant to be. Maybe that's the sign that I shouldn't do it. Okay, and now it happens so frequently, and for me it's usually about when I'm about to go and do a big presentation, my children get sick. They used to, now that we're kind of over that now, but I know that was about me because it happened so frequently that it had to be about me. Like the night before I was going to fly out to Sydney and do a speech in front of 300 people, my daughter would suddenly come down with croup unexpectedly at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be lying on the bedroom floor not getting any sleep whatsoever. And that kind of stuff happened so much, I started to think maybe this is all part of the bigger picture. Maybe this is what should happen. And I really find that when you come to those roadblocks, some people think of them as roadblocks, they happen in a moment of transition when you're just about to get to the step that you want to get to, where you're going to expand. And they happen so frequently that I see them as a sign you're almost there. So now when the thing happens, I go, thank you. Thank you for the thing that's happening, because that means I'm nearly there. But the thing that most people do, most people who don't reach their full potential do, is they take a step back. They go, it's not meant to be. I'm meant to step back and I'm meant to play small for a bit. I'm not meant to do this after all. The people who end up being the fullest expressions of themselves with success, living their true successful lives, are the people who go, you know what, I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to let that thing stop me. And when you start seeing those things like that, from that perspective, thank you, this is the last step, your whole life will change. Because you'll never retreat, you'll never take a backward step again. So I like to think about the mindset around this is when the uncertain thing happens, and who knows what it could be. It could be a kid getting sick, it could be, God forbid, a death or something like that, or the computer crashes, or something just seems to go wrong. I see it with my courses and trainings that we run around publicity. Just before we get to the training, there'll be a couple of people who have to pull out for the last minute for some reason. And I know that's what's going on in their mind, that they just aren't quite sure yet, and they're kind of stepping back. So when the uncertain thing happens now, I'm certain. So one of the biggest things I can share with you is be certain with uncertainty. When an uncertain thing happens, go, thank you, it's meant to be like this. So in order for you to grow and develop. And the reason it happens is because you need to grow through that struggle. You need to grow in some way in order to be the person who can reach that goal. So there is actually a learning that goes on in that process. So let me get a sense of who's who in the room. Who's never thought about mindset and how it might impact on their business? Okay, good. Who has thought about mindset but not really concentrated on it? Know it's there but not really spent much time? Yep. Who has thought about it and tried to manage it but often slip back into maybe negative thinking? Yep. Who works on their mindset as part of their daily lives? Wow, you guys are amazing. So you guys should all be reaching your full potential, and that's fantastic. I want you to write down these 3 things. I'm just going to talk about these things tonight. The 3 steps to achieving a success mindset. See your struggles as your assets. Success in business is due to what goes on in your mind. And the 3rd is step up over the barrier of fear. Fantastic handwriting I have, so if in case you haven't got that, you can kind of read it off mine. I used to be a journalist, so I have my own form of shorthand, which no one can read except for me, and sometimes I can't even read it. Okay, why do I want to help you, and why do I want to talk about this stuff? We all have to overcome limiting beliefs and fears. Every single person has them. And I'm not immune. I'm no different to anyone else. In fact, my coaches and mentors that I work with, and I've always got many in my life and in my business life, often say the same thing. You know what, Sue? It's quite amazing. You're just like everyone else. There's nothing special going on. Like, I don't have some superior ability to, achieve great things. What I do have is the ability to take action. And I have, just like everyone else, limiting beliefs and fears and self-doubts and all of that stuff. And that's really what I've worked on in the last 3 years, which has really skyrocketed our business in the process. So just 3 years ago, very short 3 years ago, I was sitting in a room like this, probably a smaller group, listening to someone else speak and wondering, how can I make this work for me? I had my own business, but I wasn't really happy in that, and I wanted to do something more. 3 short years later, we're on track for a 7-figure turnover. That's $1 million turnover. Thank you for that. And I don't say that to be boastful or anything. I don't have any special skill, but what I did work on was my mindset and overcoming limiting beliefs and self-doubt. So just a quick overview of my background. I am a journalist by trade. I studied over at Curtin, across the road, and I left there 20 odd years ago and went and worked at GWN in Bunbury. Anyone from Bunbury? No? Oh, okay. It's a lovely place, Bunbury. I wasn't a big fan of Bunbury, I have to say. It was very small, very hard to be a journalist there because there weren't many things going on, and we all had to find a whole lot of stories. And I ended up back in the journalistic job that I really loved the most, which was radio. That was my main passion because I worked over at the university radio station and loved it. So I worked here and over in London, and then I came back to Perth, and I kind of came in, parachuted into the top job you can get as a journalist, which is news editor. And I became news editor of 6PR and 96 FM. And that was around the age of 28. So I was the youngest radio news director in the country at the time. And my ego was huge, and I thought I was pretty hot, and I was reading the news, and everyone knew who I was, and it was fantastic. Have you ever had the experience where you're living an outwardly successful life, but inside you're really unhappy? That was me. That was totally me. And when I got that job, I started to really, for the first time, take responsibility for what I was doing in that job, which was disseminating bad news, essentially, and impacting on people's lives. And there are a couple of things that happened that changed everything for me. And one of the things that happened was a phone call from a woman who had heard me read the news. And the news that day, one of the stories in the bulletin was about a car accident, a fatal car accident in which a child had been killed. And I read the story over probably 3 or 4 hours, each bulletin. The first bulletin was there'd been a car accident. The next story was it was causing traffic problems. The next story was it was a fatal accident, we found out. The next story was a child had been killed. The next story was police have released the name of the child who'd been killed in the car accident. It was John Smith. And I came out of that bulletin having read that story. To me, that was just one more story in the long line of stories, filled 15 seconds, fantastic. Got out of the studio, and one of my journalists who I'd employed, a young lady who was 21, she was a cadet, and she said, "You know what, Sue, there's some bitch woman on the line." And at that point I just went, what? The way she said it shocked me, and I had that kind of physical thing of thinking, I don't belong here. These are not my kind of people. And I just thought, but the next thing she said floored me. I think it's the mother of the kid who was killed in the car accident. And that was my reaction. I just went, okay, deep breath, I'm going to have to speak to this woman. So I closed my office door, took that phone call, and it was probably the hardest phone call I've ever experienced in my life. You can imagine how upset she was, and she was incredibly angry with me because I just read out the name of her deceased child on air. And not only was that painful for her, but I'd also told a whole community of people who didn't know that fact, who knew the child. And at that point, it really came home to me what I was doing. I was hurting people. And I get emotional about that every time I tell that story because it was such a line in the sand. And I just went, you know what, I can't do this anymore. So I left. And people went, are you insane? You're giving up this great career. You're on this great career path. And I just went, you know what, I just can't. In my gut, I just knew it was the right thing to do to leave that profession. So I did the only thing I thought I could do with my skill set, and that was to go off and work in the dark side of PR. And I call it the dark side of PR because as a journalist, we really do see people that sell out and go and work in PR as being on the dark side. They're totally different types of people. But I did it because I thought I couldn't do anything else with my skill set. So I went off and I did that, and it really was an early midlife crisis, the changing of that job. And I also left my first husband, who was also in the media. So we had this fantastically, it looked great on the outside life, but behind closed doors, I knew I was so off track. Like Tamika was talking about when you're on the right track, I was on the wrong track. And I could have kept going down that track and it could have looked successful and it could have brought me great riches and things, but I just knew it was the wrong thing to do. And it was such a huge seismic shift in myself that I ended up getting a heart condition out of the stress of going through something like that. But I just felt like it was the right thing to do to leave that job. And along the way in this journey, I have always had these gut feelings, which I have listened to, thankfully, to guide me on that path. I went off and worked in PR. That was very successful, but I've always wanted to do something more. And along the way, I met and married my now husband. We got married and we had a child 9 months later. And I was the main breadwinner. So I had to go back to work or make money quickly. Didn't want to go back to work. So I decided to take the leap of faith, step off the cliff, give up my, well-paid career job in the public sector. My mother was freaking out, and just start a home business. I thought, you know what? I can't put my child into daycare. I really want to go and start a home business. So that's what I did. And it really felt like stepping off the cliff. But I felt in my gut it was the right thing to do. No safety net, just off you go. That was also successful. But I've always had this thing of wanting to do something more and wanting to do something more. So I started another business on the side called Home Biz Chicks. And it was a membership site for women like me who didn't know how to start a home business. Some of you may know me from that. And I started it, and I spent a whole $10,000 on the website, which was back in 2008, and that was a shitload of money back then. And I didn't have the money. I put it on a credit card. Again, I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And I thought, this is such a great idea. Everyone's just going to come to me because this is such a great idea. Who's done that? This is just such a great idea. I'm not going to research it. It's just such a great idea. So I did that. Nobody came. Nobody came. And I just was under so much pressure. And I remember going out for a walk one night, just thinking, I've got to get away. I've got to have some time and space and get away. So I went out and went for a walk, and I had the brainwave of an idea to use publicity to promote my website. And I, by then, was working in PR, had my own PR consultancy, hadn't even thought about it. Because you can't see what's right in front of your face. You often can't see what's right in front of your face. So I ran home, threw a press release together, sent it to a current affair. They got back to me the next day within an hour. They said, we would love to do a story on you and your business. And I just went, thank the Lord. It's going to get me out of the poo with my husband, and maybe we have some way of making the money back. And we did. We sold $40,000 worth of products, selling a $19.95 a month membership fee. And I just went, publicity from my perspective as a business owner really works, and that's certainly something that you guys could do as well. So along that journey, the reason I tell that story is really to show you that those gut feelings will guide you on the right path if you listen to them. Something that Tamika was telling you earlier, listen to those gut feelings. They will never lead you down the wrong path. Let's have a look at the first step that I had up there, the three keys. See your struggles as your assets. See your struggles as your assets. So every single struggle that you go through is an opportunity to grow in some way, because we don't grow through the happy times, we grow through the difficult times, okay? So can I tell you that I said earlier I have limiting beliefs and self-doubts and so forth. I overcame one of my biggest fears about 4 years ago. And that fear held me back my entire career. I couldn't do certain things, I believed, because of this fear. I couldn't go for that job. I couldn't try for the promotion. I couldn't move into areas that I wanted to move because I had this fear. And it may surprise you to learn that that fear was a massive fear of public speaking. Could not imagine in a million years that now this would be the business that I'm running. Like when we, go around the room and put your hand up and say something, I'd go to the toilet. Like there's no way I would speak. And really overcoming that fear has absolutely transformed my life. Because when you have a fear like that, it blocks your path. It's like a mountain in your road. You can't see anything but the fear. The fear is so huge. And then when you get around, move through your fear, go around your fear, suddenly the whole landscape changes. And you have no idea what could be possible. So success in business, I believe, is about doing some hard work and having a success mindset. And I'm not one to say, and I know some people go, oh, but you shouldn't have the belief that you have to work hard because then you'll have to work hard. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that if you want something really badly, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to take some action. There's no kind of sitting there going, come to me, please, it's all going to be easy. I don't believe that. And maybe that's one of my limiting beliefs, but I really believe in taking action. So let's have a look at some of the mindset secrets I can share with you that have changed my world in the last 3 to 4 years. You won't succeed, you won't be the most successful person you can be by sitting at your desk in front of your computer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If that is you, work, head down, you won't see the great opportunities coming past you because you're so focused down here. And every day there are great opportunities, people you might meet, phone calls you might make, emails that might come in from someone else, a meeting that you might miss because you're so focused on working. So the best ideas come from time and space to connect. Time and space to connect. So you've got to give yourself every day a little bit of time to get out of your own head, just to be in the present moment. So does anyone meditate? We've got a room full of meditators. That's cool. I'm working on meditation. I used to say I'm not very good at it, but the universe keeps throwing me meditation experts in my path. So I'm getting better. But does anyone do meditative exercise? Yeah, what do you do?
I run on the beach, I close my eyes for a little while, make sure I'm in front of me.
And then you fall over the sandcastle. Yeah.
And then I just run and I can hear the waves and I'm really in the now. It only takes 10 seconds or 2 seconds and it does change.
Yeah, fantastic. So anything that you do that gets you in the moment, gets you in the present moment, that's what you want to be. I mean, you can sit there in silence if you want to and try and be in the present moment, or you can go for a walk, or you can clean the house, or whatever it is for you. Just get yourself into the present moment, because that's when you give your mind the space for the great business ideas to come. I have my best business ideas when I'm not at my desk. It's almost like you have to get away. You have to get away from your desk in order to get the idea that's going to make your business, set it on fire. Okay, some other secrets. Your part of the process is to take decisive action, like hard work. Okay, so who's read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich? Some of you have, some of you haven't. So that was written almost 100 years ago now, talking about having a look at the most successful, from a money perspective, people in America, the 500 most successful people, to see if what they did was common. Is it something we can learn to do, or is it something that we are born with, this ability to be successful? So he came up with some interesting things. Millionaires make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Millionaires make decisions quickly and change them slowly. That's something that I've trained myself to do. Make a firm, fast decision. Yes, no, move forward. Better that you make the wrong decision and you learn from it and quickly go back to the right decision than to sit there for the next 6 months going, I'm not sure which way to go. So get into the habit of making a firm, fast decision. Success is not about being lucky, it's about having a plan and taking action. Having a plan and taking action. There's no luck involved. You have to take action. The time to act is when emotion is strong. When you're feeling yes, like Tamika was saying earlier, when you feel the yes, just do it. Don't second guess. Don't give yourself the time to go, but well, if I do it, mum might not be happy about that, and my husband might, and the kids wouldn't be, and I don't really have the money, and you would talk yourself out of it because your ego wants you to stay small, as Tamika said. So when you feel the yes, just act in that moment. It won't lead you down the wrong path. Don't get caught in the law of diminishing intent, where your intention to do something wanes over time. So you go, yes, I'm going to do that. And then the next day you go home and you go, well, I got caught up on emails now, so I'll do it tomorrow. And then the next day comes, you think, yeah, I'm going to do it next week. Then the next week will be better. Next week comes and you think, you know what, next month is going to be the time that I do that. In 3 months' time you go, you know what, maybe we'll do it next year. And then in 6 months' time you won't even remember what it was that you were going to do. So when you feel like, yes, I'm going to do something, yes, I'm going to take action, do it in that moment. Even if it's a small action to get you started, it will keep you going down that path. So secret 2 is to act now decisively. Get into the habit of making a firm, fast decision. No one has enough ability, knowledge, or experience to amass a fortune without the help of others. You can't do it on your own. If you think you're going to do this business and just be you and do everything yourself, then you will never be the fullest expression of who you are. You will never reach that point. You can't do it on your own, whether that's people on your team to help you or mentors to come in and show you the right way to do it. Do that, okay? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with in terms of how much money you earn, what kind of house you live in, what kind of car you drive, where your kids go to school, what kind of clothes you wear, where you go on holiday. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And there are some very concerned looks in the audience. You're going, oh my God, I don't want to be like her. It's probably your mother or your sister or something, yep. And I'm not saying, Anton and Alicia, like, yep. We've got a few husbands and wives in the room. I'm not saying ditch your family and friends. No, be strategic about what time you do spend and what you tell them. Like, I don't tell my mum everything. I don't tell her when I'm going on a trip how many times I'm speaking or how many flights I'm catching, because she flips out. And they have, mothers in particular, have the amazing ability to voice your worst fear. So you start going, oh God, yeah, you're probably right. And then you start playing small. But no, what you need to do is carve out time to be around like-minded people who lift you up. So coming to an event like this, you're going to leave feeling inspired, enthusiastic, motivated. Wouldn't that be great if you got that every week, every month? Do that. You know, and when I am part of a mastermind group, I don't want to be the big fish in the small pond. I don't want to go and hang out with people who are earning less than me. I want to be going to somewhere where the businesses are much bigger than mine and they're going 7 figures, so come on, you can do better than that. Let's go. And that's when you start lifting yourself, because you want to get up with the same as everyone else. So the benefits of being part of a mastermind. Your school friends, I mentioned mums, but school friends are also in that category. Long-term school friends, maybe friends on Facebook that you've known for ages. Your partner sometimes may not be of course Anton and Alicia excluded from that, may not be the most enthusiastic or supportive. I know when I was up leveling, I call it, and I needed to do courses and trainings that were going to cost a lot of money, and my husband was going, you know, we can't afford that. We can't afford, you can't afford to buy that course from America that's $5,000. So I was like, okay. So then I quietly did it anyway. And and then stuff would arrive, boxes of course materials and CDs and stuff. And I'm like, putting it under the bed going, no, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Now he's saying, you know, fly to America, get on the plane and go there if you want to go and do the course live, because you can see the benefits. So sometimes these partners and people in our lives need to be brought on the journey with us, and that'll make a huge difference to the outcome for you. Start living your dreams now with everything you do every single day. So start being the person you want to be in this moment today, right now, in this room now. So if you want to be super successful, how does a super successful person sit? At this point, I stand up straight because I want to be super successful, so I'm going to embody that. And the more I can do that in my daily life, the more likely I am to become that person. Okay, so how do you answer the phone? How do you turn up to an event like this? How do what do you do when you first get to your desk in the morning? Are you being the most successful you can be? Or do you get in there and go, oh, another bloody day. I need a coffee. Actually, no, let's just, I'll go for a walk or something first, or I won't even think about work. How are you being? What is your being like in every minute of the day? And just, if you can remind yourself of that a couple of times a day, you'll just go, okay, right, no. Let's start being the most successful me. And that will change the outcome for you because you'll behave differently, you'll respond differently to emails. When you make decisions from where you are now, you are confined by your current boundaries. Okay? When you make decisions from where you are now, you are confined by the boundaries you have around you. So when I had a fear of public speaking, there was this boundary around me. There was a wall up that said, I cannot speak and I am behind my boundary. And I decided that I was going to start doing things that was going to get me over the boundary. And one of them was to make decisions pretending that I was a speaker, just pretending that I was a speaker. So when the invitation came, finally, I got invited to speak. And I got invited to speak actually in this very room at an event about 4 years ago. And Nina, I think you were probably at that event, in fact. It was one of the business networking events that were held here. And that invitation came about 3 months before the event, and I got into the habit of making a firm, fast, decisive decision and making decisions from where I wanted to be. So when the invitation came in on email, my initial reaction was yes. I just went yes. Even I didn't think about the fear. I just went yes, and I emailed back going, thank you so much, would love to come, looking forward to some more information, sent the email off. And in that moment, my boundary was down and I was Sue the speaker. And the more I did that, the boundary just disappeared. So start making decisions from over your boundaries. What are your boundaries? Know what they are, and then pretend that you're on the other side of that boundary and start being that person. When you step up like that, when you decide that yes, this is what you're going to do, it's amazing what comes your way. When I run our seminars around how businesses can get publicity in the media, on TV and radio, newspapers, magazines, It's amazing how many times I get to that seminar and someone beforehand will say to me, you know, the most amazing thing happened. I signed up to come to your half-day seminar and I got a call the next day from a journalist. And I go, you know what? It happens so many times because you've said, this is what I want. You've taken action. And then I believe the universe, the higher self, whatever you want to call it, conspires to bring it about for you because you've made a definite decision and you've made a commitment to it. So make decisions from where you want to be. Action and mindset. Mindset on its own is not sufficient to propel you forward. You need to take action, and I believe you need to work hard. Okay? You need to work hard on the right kind of stuff, and the way you approach hard work will define how you feel about it. So if you go, oh, it's hard, then of course it's going to be hard. If you go, this is so exciting, I'm so passionate about this, I'm going to work and work and work and I'm going to get it done, that's a totally different energy. Okay, so how you feel about it will make all the difference in the world to the outcome. So let's have a look at people who do take action. They did a survey of some of the top CEOs in America and they found, interestingly, that the majority of them had some connection or some background in these three things: martial arts, military, and athletics, sport. So what are some of the characteristics of those areas?
Discipline.
Sorry? Discipline, yep.
You never give up.
Never give up, yep.
Integrity.
Integrity, that's a good one.
You sustain yourself for the battle.
Yep, sustain yourself for the battle, yep. Competition, compete, yep. So all of those traits are things that these people brought into their business lives as well. So yes, they had all these things in it when if they'd been a sports person or they'd been in martial arts, they knew they needed to embody in that area, but they took the same traits into their business life. So if you go, right, I'm going to be competitive, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to practice, I'm going to have integrity, I'm going to be competitive. You know, if you brought all of those things into your business life, that could totally change your business world. So some common traits. Successful people are highly coachable. They will do what they're told. And that is, you know, one of the things that my coaches say about me. Without fail. All of them say it at some point, you know what, Sue, amazing. You just do what I say to do. You're so coachable. I hear that all the time. And I go, you know, I used to go, really? Do people not do what you're supposed to do? I thought I was just supposed to do what you told me to do and I'm doing it. And they say, yes, but most people don't. And now I'm a coach myself and I understand now. Like I'm telling people, just do this and it will succeed. And they'll go, no, actually, I think I'm going to do this over here first. So highly coachable. If someone has been there, done that and can show you the way, just do what they tell you to do. It's really as easy as that. Discipline, practice, practice, practice. Live healthily, which is Michelle's going to talk about that after the break. You have to do that if you're going to succeed in business. So what you eat, how much sleep you get, make sure you're hydrated, exercise, and have a coach. Have someone else who's been there, done that, and can show you the way faster. A couple of things about persistence. I know we're going to wrap up reasonably soon. No one enjoys great achievement without passing the persistence test. It's almost like, you know, there is this test out there. It's like, how much are you going to persist to get this done? And those who pass the test go on to succeed, and those who don't end up playing small. Most of us are good starters but poor finishers. A lot of us have great ideas and we go, yes, I'm going to do this, and the next week you go, oh, no, actually I'm going to do this now. No, I'm going to do this over here. And you go from one thing to the next and you never finish anything in particular. We are prone to giving up at the first sign of defeat. So if someone, you know, puts a block in your path or says, no, that's not going to work, then to me that's just one more part of the test I've got to pass. Rather than thinking, oh, it's not meant to be, I go, okay, tick, I'm moving a bit further down the persistence test, as opposed to thinking it's not meant to be. Those who persist are rewarded by achieving their goal, but also the bigger thing, that no success comes without learning lessons from so-called failures. So you have to be willing to go through some testing times in order to reach your goal. It's almost like there is a persistence test. So take consistent action to completion is the key thing. And I think that's probably the key thing that I can share with you tonight about what I do, is take consistent action to completion. So I don't let something go. And it can be tiresome and it can be annoying and frustrating. In my business, if there's one area, I'll just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back, and eventually we will get there. Take consistent action to completion. Not just consistent action, but to completion, so you finish the thing you started out. Indecision and procrastination. They are best friends, indecision and procrastination. You have to kill them off before they take over. You have to. A study of 25,000 people who suffered failure found a lack of decision was the major cause. 25,000 people who'd suffered some kind of failure said the reason they failed was because they didn't make a decision. So as I said before, getting to the habit of making a hard, fast decision. Procrastination. Most people go through life, I've said, as failures, but to sugarcoat it, not being the most successful person you can be, because they wait for the right time to do the thing. There's never going to be a right time. If you're waiting for the right time, it'll never come and you'll never get going with that thing. So start where you are now with whatever tools you have in this moment, and when you start down the path, new tools will come to you as you go. But you can't get it all lined up. You can't get all your ducks in a row before you start. Okay, so you have to take action in that moment. The time will never be just right. A couple of more things from Think and Grow Rich. I love this. Dreams come true when desire transforms them into concrete action. Concrete action. Ask life for great gifts and you encourage life to deliver them to you. No trait of a successful person is a birthright, so no one's born with the success gene. Everyone has to learn and take action. Success is due to having a plan and taking action. It's not due to a personal gift. And success comes to those who are success conscious, because poverty consciousness is our fallback position. Our mind as a human being is trained to fall back into negativity. That's just the fallback position. So if you know yourself, I know myself, if I'm trying to be positive, at some point in the day I'll slip into negativity. That's just what we do as human beings. You need to be aware of that and change either your state or your mindset in that moment, and be success conscious, not poverty consciousness. Fear. Fear of poverty will keep you poor. Wealth involves some kind of risk. Fear of criticism. Big one, particularly for women. We want everyone to like us, and not everyone is going to like you. So you need to get past that. Don't let that stop you. Fear the fear and do it anyway. This is what Tamika, interesting, she had this also in her presentation. Susan Jeffers wrote the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. As long as you're growing, you're going to experience some kind of fear. Okay, it's just the way it is. You will experience some kind of fear. The only way to get rid of it is to get out and do the thing. That is the only way to get rid of your fear, is to stare it down and do the thing that you're most fearful of. I like to call this saying the scary yes. Okay, and I really believe that there is a big scary yes in everyone's life. There is something in your life that you are terrified of that you don't really want to say yes to. But if you say yes to it, that is actually the key that unlocks the door to your fullest potential and abundance you couldn't even imagine. And when we identify what our scary yes is, that's part of it, is actually identifying what it is. Having the courage to say yes to that, honestly, my scary yes was speaking. Not even a million years, this heart condition that I have means I shouldn't be in stressful situations. I could faint at any moment, fall down on the floor. So I had a reason not to, a really good reason not to. But I couldn't have imagined a 7-figure business 3 years ago. Couldn't have imagined it until I said the scary yes. Saying yes to the biggest fear can bring more abundance than you can ever imagine. So a couple of quick practical strategies to overcome your fear, because Fleur's about to kick me off the stage. Be gentle with yourself. So how I overcame my fear: be gentle with yourself. Take small steps towards your fear. So in whatever way, small way you can towards your fear, take those steps. Build courage each day. So every day there are two options. There's the scary way to do something and the easy way to do something, such as make a phone call or send an email. 99% of people send an email. 1% will make the phone call. That's scarier. So I decided to do the courageous thing. Every day, what's the scariest thing every day in everything that I had the option to do? And I always took the scarier option to build courage. Make decisions from where you want to be, say yes when you're in the flow, and don't second guess yourself or overanalyze. Stare down your fear, take the leap of faith, and continue to do the thing. So at some point you have to stare down your fear, whatever it is, you have to do the thing. And that takes courage, and it is like stepping off a cliff, but you've done these other things, you will build yourself up to that moment. Have a strategy each day. So quickly, how do you incorporate mindset into your day? So I just want to show you my start of my day, okay, just to give you an idea, because people say, well, how do I do this? What do you do, Sue? I wake up most days just before 5 o'clock. And I give myself 5 minutes to wake up, because I don't take long to wake up. Once I'm up, I'm awake. I don't need coffee or anything. And then I do project work between 5 and 6. So I know what key projects I want to work on, and I do that for an hour every morning. And then I go to the gym, and then I come back. And then I do a little exercise. I have a gratitude exercise where I think of all the things I'm grateful for. I usually come back home from the gym and stand in the front garden and do this, because if I walk in the door, my kids are going to go bananas. So before I even get inside the door, I'm standing there with my eyes closed, thinking about everything that I'm grateful for. Then we have an exercise of feeling the moment of achievement, which is what Tamika was talking about. So visualize the thing that you really want, whatever that is in your business life, the moment where it all comes together. Think about who's there, think about the emotion, the feeling, and just really bring it into the present moment. And then think about what a random act of kindness you could do for someone that day, and go do it that day. And if you do that every day, it'll change your life. I then go and do the breakfast stuff. I eat a frog. Has anyone read Brian Tracy? Eat That Frog, which basically means, Brian Tracy wrote this book called Eat That Frog, which basically means do the most uncomfortable thing in your day first. So identifying the most uncomfortable thing. So by 9 o'clock, my husband's still usually just getting out of bed at this point. Like the whole world's happened. I've done 3 hours of stuff. So project work is done. I've set my mindset up, I've done some exercise, and I've eaten a frog. And then if the rest of the day turns to crap, I'm still moving forward. I've still achieved some good things that are going to keep me going with my goal. All right, so why do I want to talk about mindset when usually I talk about publicity? Because I do talk about this in our trainings, because I know getting into the media can bring up a lot of limiting beliefs and self-doubt. And we need to move through that if we're going to actually get ourselves onto national TV, as many of our students have. We've had 3 students on national TV in the last month. That requires you to be thinking big and to be believing that you can do something. So that's why we incorporate mindset into our seminars. So just a couple of things about our students, showing you what interesting comments they say. Going on today tonight was something I thought was not possible before doing the training. They all say the same things. I would never have dreamed this was possible prior to your course. So they had limiting beliefs around what was actually possible for them, and we helped them move through that to achieve great results. So I just want to quickly talk about the seminar that we have coming up. It's around publicity, but also how to step up and move through your fears. It's called the Free Media Publicity Seminar, and a lot of it is around creating press releases, coming up with story ideas that are going to be useful to the media to get yourself onto TV, radio, newspapers, magazines. Some parting thoughts. If you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're committed, you'll do what it takes. If you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're committed, you will do what it takes. So I hope I've inspired you to step up and play a bigger game. I want to ensure you that all of you have fantastic stories for the media. I'd love to help you in that regard. I'm here for the rest of the evenings, happy to answer questions then, and look forward to connecting with you perhaps on Facebook later on. So thank you very much.